for the day of we're working with students. So this training, Ashley's gonna lead it. Just if you have any questions, wait towards the end. That'll be great. Thank you once again. I really do appreciate it. Ashley, it's all you.
Great, thank you, Henny. Hello, everyone. For sure I know everyone here in the room, but just in case, hi, I'm Ashley Hackett and I work for the foundation. To start off, I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of the special component of the day. Susan Freeman actually had the pleasure of doing it last year, as we were just kind of talking about. And it's just having the kids come just to see they're just excited to be around fruits and things like that and learn cooking demos and also just like work with like adults that are going to be helping them with the day. So thank you so much. Kind of what the point for this training is really, as you can see, Henny kind of provided, which is right in front of you, this little lesson plan. This is kind of, has everything, like all the information that you're probably going to need. I'll be there, but we'll all be here. So if you have a chance to review it before the event, we're going to meet before the kids get there. So we'll go through another kind of quick demo, but this is really kind of the Bible for going through all of the information and things like that. The number one takeaway for this event is to have fun. Yeah, we're doing some instruction. We want them to learn about nutrition, healthy eating, and things like that, but the really main component is for you to have fun. It's a great day of service and you're gonna be making a huge impact, but also for the students, because we want them, we don't want them to attribute healthy food with, okay, sit, things like that. I know that's how sometimes I do it when I have to go home and cook a meal. So it's just really just to have fun, just really just enjoy the kids' company, because they really do enjoy strawberries and things like that. So just to kind of go over, if you look at your sheet right here, it has a list of everything and how the table will be set up. So when you arrive early, we'll have everything already kind of pre-laid out as it is right now, but when we get there, we'll go over it again. But this is just a list of everything. I believe we'll have around 50 students separated into different rotations and things like that, but when Henny returns, she can talk to you guys a little bit more about that. So everything that you're gonna need, so what we're gonna be making is actually fruit salads. So that'll be mangoes and strawberries and bananas and with some lime juice and things like that, just to again get the kids, having them play with the produce, get in there and really see everything that goes into it. One thing that was a great learning tip for me was to not assume just I know it's mangoes and strawberries and bananas, maybe you and I have had these and things. Some of these students, I think last year we had a student that didn't really know what a mango was, or was just wow, what is that? So we kind of talked a little bit more, and that's what the first activity kind of goes into, is introducing it. So I think we're going to be assigned by volunteer 1, 2, 3, and 4 for each station. So the fun part of the activity that the kids really enjoy is when, say, volunteer number 1 that has mangoes, there's some fun facts that you can have that actually talk about the history of the mango and things like that. So that's a really great interactive way just to kind of hold up a whole mango and say, hey, whoever's ever tried a mango? And then kids will probably I have, and then, or they'll be oh no, it's a mango. You can talk about different facts and then they can taste test it and things like that. So if you go through the first part of the demonstration, it has facts for each one, the mangoes, limes, strawberries, and bananas. So that'll be the first component. It's just going around the table and getting them used to the produce that they're going to be using. So the second part, and that's when it really gets fun, is that's when you're actually okay, now we're going to learn about actually making the fruit salad. So the number one takeaway for this section is actually just all about knife safety. Every station will be provided with a child-safe knife. They are child-safe, they're somewhat dull, but of course, with all knives, they've got a little bit of sharpness so they can get through the produce. So the number one thing that we want them to take away is just while cutting is to use the claw position. And what the claw position is, it's just kind of like how it states, is use your dominant hand, hold it at the handle, and just you never want them doing this, anything to where their fingers could be in danger. It's always, I'm gonna try to do this, like this. So you want the knife to so even if it slips or anything like that, their fingers are kind of away. So something that's a great tip is just to have them practice that move a few times, and you guys can walk around and say, oh, do it like this, just so they're getting used to not getting their fingers out of the way.
How old will these guys be?
And
So third through fifth.
Third through fifth? Okay, so yeah, they'll be third through fifth. So a lot of them, they may cook with their parents at home, but the biggest thing is just not to assume and just give
That's
them
a little
the
older
best.
than last year, right?
Yeah, a little bit older,
Yeah.
so a little less of all the kids running around and things like that.
the lesson, but oh, be careful with the knife.
Exactly. So it's like, again, like, yeah, it's child safety, but that's the number one concern is we want to make sure they're still using it properly, because also when they go home, they might not have these child safe knives, so they want to have the best practice with like mom and dad's like butcher knives and things like that. So if you look at the second part of the lesson plan where it says demonstrate each fruit, that has those safety tips. So you can say, like, as I said, the claw position that I just kind of demonstrated. Also, you want to reiterate, don't use knives as a weapon. Like, these are students, so maybe if you lose their attention, they'll try to do something like that. I believe we'll have some support from the teachers and staff, so they'll also be around to like help out. But just if you catch like someone doing something wrong, try to see if you can correct it before someone gets hurt or anything like that. Another thing is that we want to just really stress is that when they're using their knife, you want them to use it at the table. So say if they see their friend Jessica or something, you don't want them to walk away with the knife to go talk to their friend. If they need to go use the bathroom or anything, like, please return the knife at the table and then they can step away, because again, that's how dangerous things happen. And then next thing is tell the students that they're serrated knives. So as for like the cutting technique, that they're serrated, so they don't need to put as much effort into using the knife as if it were a non-serrated knife, but just really, again, that claw position and moving it back and forth, because really the serrated part is what does all of the work, especially since we're not really doing anything like steak or like anything like that. It's really like strawberries, bananas, things that really you probably could use with a butter knife, but just again, just practicing those safe knife tips and things like that. So after we go over after the volunteer can go over this quick kind of safety tips, then you can kind of still use the same volunteers that talked about the mangoes and the history of it. They can also talk about the mangoes on this aspect. So let's say the person who did the mangoes, like, okay, so the first part of our fruit salad today is we're gonna be putting the mangoes in. So let's learn how to properly cut a mango. So we'll have something like mango spears, which will look like this with minus the skin. So there's gonna be about 2 to 3 mango spears per fruit salad. So what you're gonna do is you'll probably hold it up and then say, okay, remember our claw position, and then you'll just go through, kids will cut it up, and then they can put it directly in the fruit bowl. And then after everyone, let me step back. Each station will have a bowl as well, like a fruit bowl. So that way, it's kind of a community pot, so it won't have, each station will have a bowl. It's like 4 kids will have each fruit bowl. So everyone will put all of their fruit in there to make one giant fruit salad. So yeah, again, down here it has the different, like, make sure the pieces are nice and flat. Cut the mangoes in large chunks, around 1/2 inch wide chunks, and cut pieces to put into the serving bowl. So each volunteer will go through each one of their fruits. Bananas, simply peel the banana, and after you peel the banana, you can do the chopping, and then they'll put the fruit inside of there, and then again with the strawberries, and then all of the fruit will go in there. Lastly, you'll have the limes, or the person that will be doing the lime. So that's where we have our wonderful lime juicer, which I actually didn't know these existed until last year. So what you'll be doing is that person, they'll have like the nut limes, they'll cut them, and that's kind of where you'll pick one volunteer, or it's actually really great if you ask like for a student volunteer to say who would like to squeeze the lime, and then a lot of times they can pass it around and squeeze a little bit. So you'll put the lime in the juicer, squeeze it, and then you'll move on to like the next step. Of course, like the salt and, man, you're not doing the chili powder, it's just the salt? Oh, you're doing chili, okay, so. And then the next step, again, this would be great, like student participation, is you can have them do the salt grinder, where you come in and you'll do like one turn. One part I think that we saw last year is I think someone twisted it so hard off of their thing, the entire salt like dumped into the salad thing, which is, again, it's fun. It's like, hey, it happens, things happen in the kitchen, so we just tried our best to scoop it out, and then I think we kind of discarded it because it was a little too salty. But yeah, it's just a couple of turns right there just to really kind of enhance that flavor and things like that, to complement the lime juice. And again, it's Tajin seasoning that's used, and that's, again, to have another volunteer or a student volunteer to come measure out something, or measure out, I think it's a 1/2 teaspoon in here, put it in there, and then that's kind of your creation for the salad bowl. And then after that, you can have another student volunteer, because again, it's all about student participation and trying to engage as many students as you can, as opposed to talking at them, really getting them involved. So you can have someone we'll have these little tosser things to kind of toss up the fruit salad, put it together, and then have someone like give everyone little servings to try it. And one of the best parts is kind of seeing all their faces as they're like eating the fruit salad for the first time. And that's another opportunity, is as they're eating it to say, so what do you think? What are the flavors? What do you like about it? What would you have done differently? Or do you think you'd make this at home? And things like that. So if you'd like, we can draft like kind of these simple questions that you can ask the students, so that way you'll have it with you. But yeah, again, it's just all about participation. The students really do like enjoy just like meeting you and just learning new things, and then just asking them like what they thought about it, and then would they try this at home, or what are other like fruits that they would have added to it, and things like that. So that's kind of the basic overview of the session. We actually have everything sitting in front of us, so if you'd like, we can actually physically go through and make a fruit salad if you'd like, just depending, or if you'd like to spend this time asking questions, or if there's anything that I could provide.
Just a process question. So we're going to be, each tackling a different fruit, it sounds like. And then at some point we're going to end up in front of a bowl with like 3 or 4 part of the kids, helping them put it all together. Okay, so we're going to have a couple of different roles, all in the same room, I take it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and we'll just shuffle around as needed.
Yeah, exactly. Ideally, we'll have the stations set up so kind of just like this, so it's everything's together. So we'll have like kind of where Kayla's sitting right now. We'll have a bowl where like maybe your group will be putting all of your produce and things into that bowl, so that way you're not exactly like running across the room to like go do things. So we'll try to make everything as manageable and together, so you can kind of almost work as teams, so it feels a little bit less like craziness or chaotic. Things like that.
So is it stations, the students stay where they are and we travel? I'm a little confused on the actual physical layout. Maybe it'll help when I actually see it.
Yeah, sure. So no, so the stations, it's a good question. So the stations actually, it's gonna be set up the way we are. So the students, like you're essentially gonna be the students, or where you're sitting or where the students are gonna be. And then the volunteers, you guys will be kind of scattered around the table to talk about the different fruits and things, so you can move around. And then you'll have everything. So kind of think of it as each table is its own like command center. So you'll have everything that you need right there, and then you can kind of move about the table and things like that. Does that answer your question?
So we'll have all of the ingredients.
Yes.
We'll be prepping an entire fruit salad with one group of kids.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
that helps. Thank you.
No problem.
I was just gonna ask what the ratio of adult volunteers is to students.
Great question.
Still working on it.
Okay.
Sorry to
Great
put you on the
question.
spot.
We'll let you know in the morning.
Do you have an idea of the time here? So for one session to build a fruit salad, planning X amount of time?
30 minutes. So each rotation will be 30 minutes. So it's 3 rotations altogether, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So you have 30 minutes to make the fruit salad.
So then the volunteers also have to, once the first round goes through, they have to clean up and prep for the next round.
15 minute between each transition. 15-minute transition for rotations.
So we'll think about that on how we can make that like a speedy process and things like that to help for the transition time.
Do you know what a beginning and end time of the whole 3 sessions is going to be yet in the course of the day? Is it early in the day, middle of the day, end of the day?
So it starts at 9:40, and the last rotation will end at 12:10.
Okay, thank you.
Those are great questions. Any other questions?
Do we check in like normal with everybody and then we'll just be told to go based on our assignment to a certain location?
Yeah, I believe it's going to be pre-registered. Yeah.
Once you get there, you just go straight to the cafeteria to Ashley, so we can get the 15 minutes before the opening ceremony, just to do a quick review before the opening ceremony.
Exactly.
So just once you get there, just someone will directly go straight to the cafeteria. She'll have your name tags, and if you need a shirt or not, it'll be there as well.
And we'll be doing it in the cafeteria.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Correct. And it's better, it'll give you a better, like, so you can physically or visually see, like, exactly how everything's set up and everything like that. And then one thing that I don't think we ran into it last year, but in case there's any extra time afterwards, like say if we finish and there's still like 10 minutes, there's a little fun activity, or I think we probably think of something else that we can like do with the kids where it's just kind of something interactive with produce and things like that. So we'll try to put something that's very easy and simple together to kind of help fill up any time. But I think last year the kids had like a lot of questions and things like that, so I don't think we had too much time in between the transitions and things like that.
Great book, I can
I
find.
didn't really know.
Do you know?
They were barely eating any of it before they were like transitioned to their next
True,
thing.
yeah, it was just like right to the next one. Yeah. Penny, is there anything you wanted me to touch on?
Can we make a fruit salad?
Yeah, do you want to make a fruit salad? Great. Awesome.